Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Siebert, and I am going to be talking about my community, which is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was founded on November 27th, 1758, and it is considered the second largest city in Pennsylvania. Um, the number one largest city is Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh is the second largest. And up here I have just put a picture of the city. And here with the skyscrapers is the Central Business District. So there are three rivers that make up or coexist around the city of Pittsburgh. We have right here the Allegheny River, down here the Monongahela River, which together at this point form the Ohio River. And then this picture again shows the Monongahela River, the Ohio River coming together here at the point where this fountain is to form the Ohio River. And this in itself makes the city pretty unique in having three major waterways. With that being said, one of the nicknames of Pittsburgh is the City of Bridges, with a total of 446 bridges. And as you can see from this picture over here, there are quite a few bridges throughout the city, just crossing the Monongahela River. Again, more bridges on the other side with the Allegheny River, and bridges and tunnels throughout the city, making it, again, a very unique atmosphere. So now we're going to talk about some of the neighborhoods that make up Pittsburgh. Over here, I have listed some of the predominant neighborhoods, but in total, there are 90 neighborhoods that comprise Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this map shows you, this is all of Pittsburgh and the various neighborhoods that make it up. So predominantly we have the Central Business District, which is here, right at the point where the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers meet to make up the Ohio River. We have the Strip District, which is a culturally ethnic neighborhood full of different ethnic vendors, restaurants, markets, just very cool. It's a very unique experience being in the Strip District. You have the South Side, or what they call the South Side Flats and Slopes over here. It's more of a younger crowd, a lot of the nightlife, bars and restaurants. Where we have Oakland over here, holds the University of Pittsburgh. So it has a very historic and educational feel to it. A lot of the Carnegie museums are also located in Oakland. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the demographics for the city of Pittsburgh. The 2006 census has listed the population as 303,624. And the breakdown of that by gender is 50.8% female and 49.2% male. I was a little bit surprised by that statistic. I would have thought that there would be more males within the city limits. The median age for a resident in Pittsburgh is 33.5 years. And again, my perception of that is that it's a very large industrial working community. So a new professional is going to want to come in and seek employment in Pittsburgh. So some of the breakdown of races here, we have this pie graph that shows that the majority of the residents are Caucasian or white alone, and that percentage is 65.5%. African American or black alone is at 22.5%. Asian alone, 5.6%, two or more races at 3.3%, and Hispanic at 2.8%. So other races, Native American Indian and Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, are all under 1% of the community. So now we're going to look at some of the crime rates in Pittsburgh. And in looking at 2016 statistics here, it appears that theft is the number one type of crime committed in Pittsburgh at 7,222. And Second would be burglary. Now, if you're looking down here at the total, it's 402.7, and the national average is 280.5. So Pittsburgh crime rates are significantly higher than the average national crime rate. Some formal institutions of Pittsburgh, main ones would be hospitals. There are an abundance of hospitals in the Pittsburgh community, with the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center having multiple hospitals and clinics throughout the Pittsburgh area. Also are an abundance of educational institutions, which include the University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon University, Duquesne University, Point Park, Carlow, Chatham, and La Roche. And so some religion statistics. It appears that there are 39.4% of individuals living in Pittsburgh that are not religious or don't identify with any religious belief. And the second highest is 37.7%, which are Catholic. And in continuing to talk about religion, there are 764 churches located in the city of Pittsburgh. And then this little graph shows you the number of different denominations, or locations of denomination within the city limits. Again, here are just some of the major hospitals, and I noted this because not only does it provide medical necessity to all of the residents, but it provides an abundance of jobs. Again, the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon University. So some informal institutions, if we're talking about sports, we have the Heinz Field, which is home of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have the Pirates and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh museums are large. We have Carnegie Museum of Art, Natural History, their Science Center, the Andy Warhol Museum, and many other institutions for historical information and museums. So community celebrations that I wanted to touch on are the Pittsburgh Pride Fest, or excuse me, the Picklesburg. Getting myself confused here. So with Heinz, everybody comes to the Roberto Clemente Bridge to celebrate their love of pickles and ketchup. Also very prominent is the Pittsburgh Pierogi Festival, where people from all over come together to eat pierogies, and the LGBT community holds their Pride Parade. So, the question is Pittsburgh a good community? And in looking at these various assessment categories, in regards to safety, Pittsburgh has a higher crime rate than the national average, which I was pretty surprised about. So I'm going to have to, rate that it's probably not that safe. In terms of goods and services, I can't speak highly enough about the abundance of goods and services that Pittsburgh provides. There's a number of jobs, and I don't think that people really go without the necessities: food, water, clothing, multiple places to get those things. In terms of relationships, I think that each individual community or neighborhood has their own sense of unity. And I think that people are able to have really good interpersonal relationships with one another. So if we're looking at the commonality of values and goals, one of the biggest proponents of that is religion and religious establishments. So again, with 764 religious institutions in Pittsburgh, that provides people with the ability to have the same goals and values together. And again, I'm going to talk about the employment opportunities. So for those individuals whose values consist of hard work and providing for themselves and their family, there's definitely a lot of work opportunities in Pittsburgh. So I think that there is a lack of the whole person principle. And in talking about that, I think that it's oftentimes difficult for people to have interpersonal relationships with one another and feel that everyone knows, who they are. So, for example, if you were a Port Authority driver, that is what you're known as. People don't know, that you might also be a part of the LGBT community, or, that you have a family. Predictability. I think that Pittsburgh is pretty predictable. It's a very progressive city. So with technology and different movements happening, I think that it is pretty predictable that Pittsburgh will progress along um, in the future. As far as a recognized place in the social structure, I think that people could get lost within their own intimate community or neighborhood. They might have that recognition, but in the larger picture of the city as a whole, I think that people don't always have a place. Someone's not always going to know your name. Um, Opportunities, I think that there's an abundance of opportunities with jobs, and things to do in Pittsburgh that provide people with that. And in regards to whether the community is homogeneous or heterogeneous, I'm going to have to say that it's heterogeneous. I think that, again, various communities have different ways of doing things, different culture behind it, which is what makes it so unique and exciting. I don't think that um, if you're looking at one community, it might be very homogeneous in terms of neighborhood, but looking at the big scale of the city as a total, it's very heterogeneous. So overall, I would say that living in Pittsburgh is great. It's a good community. Um, and that's my assessment and a little bit about my community. And here I have my resources listed for you. And I hope you enjoyed. Thanks.